Over time, one of the biggest changes that has really impacted the restaurant and I would call it the whole food service operation business is the fact that TV has come to play such a prominent role. So we have a much higher educated dining guest today than we ever have before. If you think back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, the Food Network was not around, and certainly none of the spin-off networks. And so today we have a much more educated and much more demanding, in a positive way, consumer that comes into our restaurants. And so I think that makes a big difference in the experience that they get in the restaurants today. This is probably one of the most interesting times in American business. The legislative agenda is probably second to none right now in terms of what's going to impact the restaurant industry. So obviously you have the largest concern or expectation being the Affordable Health Care Act. And as you know, that's been, a lot of the regulations for larger employers has now been delayed till January 15th. But a lot of that's already gone in. It started in 2012 and continues to layer in. And that's having a dramatic impact on all of retail, the retail arena, of which restaurant falls within, number one. Number two, there's a push now in the legislature to raise the minimum wage. And tied into that minimum wage is potentially almost the tripling, or more than doubling, I should say, probably a better way to put it, more than doubling of the tip wage. In the full-service restaurant arena, you're allowed to pay servers and bartenders sub-minimum wage. Why? Because they get a large part of their income is derived from gratuities. And so we can show pretty graphically that in Massachusetts over the last 10 years, 11, 12 years probably, that wage for food server has gone from mid $7 an hour to almost $13.50 an hour. And that's the highest in the nation. So to think that there'd be potentially a huge increase for that population, which is about probably in any full service restaurant, that's probably 2/3 of the total employees in there, would have a pretty dramatic negative effect on our industry. So that's a big concern. First of all, it's selection. It's selecting the right individual to work for you, because again, in the restaurant industry, food service industry, we basically, we all buy from the same purveyors, so we buy the same type of product, we cook it on the same type of equipment. What can really have the edge in terms of a food service operation is the team member that's face fronting the guest and the ability to best serve them and give them hospitality that's beyond reproach. So I think hiring great people is number one. Number two is training those great people. That we touched a little bit on. Today it's more critical than ever that these people be given the tools to be able to serve the public and serve every expectation that they have. And so there's really been an increased emphasis on making certain that they get not only the sort of the boot camp training that whenever you start a job you get, but getting that extra training that makes a difference, knowing where those oysters come from, knowing, you know, if you're at the sole proprietor, knowing the species of fish and when it came out of the ocean, knowing where the oysters came from. So I think educating our staff is critically important today.